In the small, beautiful town of Mbale, everyone knew Halima. She was quiet, gentle, and always stood beside her husband, Kwame, a man the town respected deeply. People admired their marriage, calling it perfect. But behind closed doors, something dark was happening. Kwame was not the loving husband everyone thought he was. He had been seeing another woman in secret. Her name was Sira, bold, beautiful, and full of dangerous promises. She told Kwame that she could give him a better life, more power, more money, and everything he ever wanted. But there was one condition: Halima had to disappear. At first, Kwame hesitated. But greed slowly ate at his heart. He began to see Halima not as his wife, but as an obstacle. Sira kept whispering poison into his ears, saying, "She's holding you back. Without her, we can have it all." And soon, Kwame believed it. He started planning something unthinkable, a perfect lie, a trap that no one would suspect. To the world, he remained the loving husband. He still smiled beside Halima in public, still held her hand, still called her his queen. But inside, his heart was already gone. He was ready to destroy the very woman who trusted him with her life. No one in Mbale saw the storm coming. And Halima, poor Halima, had no idea that the man sleeping next to her was about to change her world forever, with betrayal so deep, it would burn her life to ashes. It was a cool evening when Kwame came home with a big smile on his face. He told Halima he had planned a surprise for her, a weekend getaway just for the two of them. He said he wanted to take a break from the busy city, to relax and spend time with the woman he loved. Halima's heart melted. She had been feeling distant from him lately, but this trip made her believe maybe he still cared. She packed her things, excited and hopeful, not knowing it would be the last time she'd see her home. They drove for hours, far from Mbale, into the countryside. The road became smaller, dustier, and darker. Finally, they reached an old farmhouse, quiet and surrounded by thick trees. Kwame said it was a private place, perfect for peace and quiet. Inside, everything felt strange, but Halima kept smiling, trying to enjoy the moment. Then, just before midnight, there was a knock on the door. It was Sira. Halima's smile faded when she saw the woman. Confused, she looked at Kwame, but he said nothing. He just stared at the floor. Sira walked in slowly, calm and cold. She leaned in close to Kwame and whispered just one sentence. Halima couldn't hear the words, but she felt the fear rise in her chest. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. Then it happened. In the dead of night, while Halima was sleeping, they set the plan in motion. Flames lit up the small farmhouse, and smoke filled the air. Halima woke up choking, screaming, but no one came to help. The fire danced on her skin as she tried to escape. Her face burned. Her body collapsed. The last thing she saw before blacking out was Kwame's shadow walking away with Sira, hand in hand. They left her there, believing she would die. By morning, the fire had died out, and so had the birdsong. The world was quiet again. In the ashes, Halima's body lay still. Her skin was burnt, her face destroyed, and her voice silenced. But her heart was still beating. She was alive. Barely. Not a soul in Mbale knew where she had gone. Kwame returned to the city with tears in his eyes, telling people that Halima had died in a tragic fire during their getaway. The town mourned. People sent flowers, cried at her funeral, and held Kwame in their arms, never knowing he was the one who lit the match. Sira moved into Halima's place. She wore her clothes, sat in her kitchen, and smiled at the neighbors. To everyone else, it looked like life was moving on. But in truth, the story was far from over. Somewhere deep in the forest, a woman with no name, no face, and no voice was breathing. Her body broken, her soul burning, but her heart full of questions. Why did the man she loved try to kill her? What had she done to deserve this? She had nothing left. Nothing but her son, and her pain. And that pain was just beginning to rise. The fire should have ended everything, but Halima's story was not over. Her body was weak, her skin burned, and her face barely recognizable. But her heart kept beating. Somewhere deep in the forest, her broken body was found by an old herbalist, a quiet, kind man who lived far away from the noise of the world. He had been walking through the trees at sunrise when he saw smoke still rising in the distance. He followed it, expecting nothing but ash, but what he found changed everything. There, lying among the ruins of the farmhouse, was Halima, still breathing, barely alive. He carried her to his small hut, hidden deep in the forest, and began nursing her back to life. Every day, he cleaned her wounds, gave her herbs to ease the pain, and whispered words of hope. Halima couldn't speak. Her voice had been taken by the smoke. Her face was swollen and scarred, but her eyes still held fire. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She simply lay still and remembered. She remembered the betrayal, the flames, the woman, the man, and one small hand that tried to pull her away from the fire. Malik. Her son had seen it all. On the night of the fire, Malik had quietly followed his parents. He had been hiding in the back seat of the car, thinking they were going somewhere fun. But what he saw at the farmhouse shattered his heart. He watched his father walk out of the burning house without looking back. He saw Sira smiling. And he knew, something evil had happened. But Malik didn't scream. He didn't speak. He ran. It was Malik who had found the old herbalist's hut, crying, begging him to come. He had led the man back through the woods to his mother, refusing to believe she was gone. And he was right. That day, Malik saved her life. From that moment, the forest became their new home. Far from bale, far from lies, far from death. Malik stayed by her side every day. He learned how to mix herbs, how to heal wounds, how to grow silent and strong. The herbalist, who had no family of his own, treated them like his blood. But Halima never forgot. Each night, she stared at the ceiling and relived the fire. Each morning, she touched her scarred face and remembered the man who promised to love her, and left her to burn. Malik grew older, stronger, quieter. He had seen too much for a child. But he watched his mother with deep love and deep pain. She couldn't smile anymore, and she didn't need to. He understood her without words. At just 12 years old, he made a silent promise to himself. One day, he would return to Mbale. One day, he would bring back her voice, her pride, her name. They thought she had died. They buried her in lies. But Halima was not dead. She was buried, but still breathing. Malik was only a boy, but his eyes had seen more than most grown men. Every morning, he would wake up and look at his mother lying quietly on a thin mat, her face still covered with soft cloth, her lips unable to speak, her eyes staring at nothing. Her beauty, her laughter, her dreams, all taken away in one cruel night. But she was alive. And Malik knew that was not by chance. It was for a reason. As he sat beside her, watching the way she moved slowly, the way she touched her scars with silent pain, something inside him began to grow. A fire. Not just of anger, but of purpose. He was only 12 when he whispered to himself, "One day, I'll make them cry blood." He didn't know how. He had no money, no power, no help. Just his mother, the old herbalist, and the truth. But truth is powerful when kept burning. While other boys played outside, Malik studied. He read old books the herbalist had kept for years. He asked questions. He taught himself things most people wouldn't understand. His mind became sharp, his heart stronger. At night, he would sit by a small fire, drawing plans in the dirt. He wasn't thinking about revenge only. He was thinking about justice. Real justice, the kind that didn't just hurt people, but made them feel every piece of pain they had caused. Malik remembered Sira's smile as the fire burned. He remembered Kwame's back as he walked away from his own wife. And he remembered how the whole town had believed their lies. He didn't want to return just to shout the truth. He wanted to make sure everyone felt it, saw it, believed it. Slowly, he built his knowledge. He became clever with machines. He started fixing radios, phones, anything he could find. The herbalist saw the gift in him and helped him learn more. In the silence of the forest, Malik's mind became a weapon. Years passed. Malik became a young man. His mother still didn't speak, but he could feel her eyes watching him grow. She knew he was changing. She saw the look in his eyes. The same fire that once lived in hers. One day, without saying a word, she touched his hand. It was her way of saying, "I see you. I believe in you." Malik smiled. He didn't need much. He had her blessing. That was enough. He left the forest not as a child, but as a warrior. He didn't carry guns or knives. He carried truth. A plan. A promise. He returned to Mbale with a new name, a new face, and a mind sharper than ever. No one knew who he was. Not yet. But they would. The boy they left behind in the fire had risen from the ashes. Not broken. Not lost. Stronger. Smarter. And ready to make them bleed for every tear his mother had cried in silence. Many years passed, and the world moved on. In Mbale, Kwame and Sira were living like royalty. Their business had grown bigger, their names were in magazines, and their pictures were everywhere. People called them a power couple. No one remembered Halima. No one knew what really happened. The lies had worked, or so they thought. But far away, the boy they left in the fire had been quietly building his future. Malik was no longer a child. He had grown into a brilliant young man. He had become a tech genius, smart, calm, focused. While others chased fame, Malik chased truth. And now, he was ready. He returned to the city not with anger in his voice, but with power in his hands. No one recognized him. He looked different. Strong. Confident. His name had changed, too. But his mission was the same. He didn't just want revenge. He wanted to destroy everything Kwame and Sira had built, with truth. Malik started small. He hacked into Kwame's old company. The same media empire that once spread lies about Halima's accidental death. He found hidden emails, secret files, and dark conversations. He copied them all. Then, one by one, he began to leak the truth. On blogs, in short videos, and even through fake news accounts, he started exposing them piece by piece. Fraud. Bribes. Fake charity work. Hidden affairs. Every dirty secret they had ever hidden was now coming out. And the city was watching. People began to talk. Whispers turned into questions. Questions turned into doubt. Suddenly, the perfect couple didn't look so perfect anymore. Investors pulled out. Workers quit. Magazines stopped printing their photos. Everything they had worked for began to fall apart, and they had no idea who was behind it. But Malik wasn't done. He used the media the same way Kwame once did, but not to hide lies. He used it to shine a light on the truth. He created a documentary, a powerful one, using real footage, real audio, and real pain. He told his mother's story, without showing her face. A story about a woman betrayed, burned, and left to die by the man she loved. People cried watching it. Some refused to believe it. Others began putting the pieces together. Still, Kwame and Sira denied everything. They called it fake. A jealous attack. But deep down, they were scared. They started looking over their shoulders. Every day, a new secret was revealed. Every day, more people walked away from them. Their empire was crumbling. Malik watched it all quietly. He didn't scream. He didn't fight. He simply pressed buttons, clicked files, and let the truth speak louder than any voice. He was patient. Calm. Dangerous. Because this was not just revenge. This was justice. And the best was yet to come. The city of Mbail buzzed with excitement. An elite gala was being held at the grandest hotel in town, hosted by none other than Kwame and Sira. Rich guests arrived in shiny cars, dressed in their finest clothes. Laughter filled the air, cameras flashed, and journalists praised the power couple for their success and charm. The hall sparkled with gold and lights, and at the center of it all stood Kwame, smiling proudly, with Sira beside him, shining in a red dress. They had no idea what was coming. Among the guests, one man stood quietly in a black suit. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. It was Malik. No one recognized him. To them, he was just another tech genius who had made it big. But inside, his heart beat with the weight of truth. Tonight wasn't about business. It wasn't about revenge. It was the night justice would finally speak. As dinner ended and the lights dimmed, Kwame walked up to the stage to begin his speech. But before he could say a word, the screen behind him lit up. The crowd turned to watch, expecting a video about the company. But what they saw was something else, something dark, raw, and real. It was footage from years ago. A hidden camera. The night of the fire. The farmhouse. The flames. Halima screaming. Kwame walking away. Sira watching in silence. Every second of that terrible night played in front of hundreds of eyes. Gasps filled the room. A woman dropped her wine glass. Someone shouted. Sira covered her mouth and fainted. Kwame stood frozen, his face pale as ashes. And then, Malik stepped forward. He didn't say much. Just one line, "This is the truth you buried. But the truth doesn't die." The room went silent. Reporters ran outside to call their editors. Phones buzzed. Within minutes, the video was online, shared across the country. Social media exploded. Hashtags spread like wildfire. Justice for Halima. The perfect lie. Blood on their hands. By morning, everything had changed. Kwame's company crashed. Investors pulled out. Police arrived at his home. Sira was rushed to the hospital, her body shaking with panic. Lawsuits piled up. The charities they had lied about demanded answers. Every door that was once open to them slammed shut. No one wanted to be seen with them anymore. Their phones stopped ringing. The people who once praised them now looked away in shame. Isolation wrapped around them like chains. Malik watched from afar, silent, calm. He didn't smile. He didn't need to. This wasn't about revenge. This was for the woman who had once been left in the fire, for the voice that had been stolen. It was justice. And it had finally arrived, loud and clear, in front of the same people who once believed the lie. The world now knew who Kwame really was. A monster in a suit. And as the empire fell brick by brick, the boy they tried to silence had become the voice they could never ignore. The news of the video spread like fire. The whole city was talking. People couldn't believe the truth they had seen with their own eyes. The same guests who once cheered for Kwame were now hiding their faces in shame. But the biggest moment was still to come. A few days after the gala, another event was announced. A simple hall. No gold, no lights, no fancy decorations. Just silence. And then, she entered. Halima. She walked slowly through the doors, dressed in a long red gown and a red silk veil that covered her face. The crowd stood still. No one moved. Some gasped. Others cried. Everyone knew who she was. The woman who was supposed to be dead. The woman they forgot. The woman who came back. Her steps were soft, but each one was heavy with strength. She didn't speak, she didn't have to. Her presence said it all. People who once praised Kwame now bowed their heads in front of her. Not out of fear, but respect. Her pain had become her power. The scarred face behind the veil didn't matter anymore. What mattered was that she had survived. She had risen. And she had returned not in anger, but with grace. After the event, reporters gathered around Malik, asking him why he had done it, how he had planned it all. He simply smiled and said, "They destroyed a woman. I gave her a kingdom." And just like that, the world knew, this wasn't just a story of pain. It was a story of power. Of rising. Of a mother and a son. And of a love that refused to die.